Stakes Fantasy Network live stream tonight. It's going to be a RotoWire Online Championship draft. $250,000 grand prize on the line in this great contest. These drafts are selling out every single day. More and more drafts selling out, obviously. This is the big start of the preseason week. Every NFL team is going to be playing this week after the first game last week with just the two teams playing, but all 32 teams in action this week starting on Thursday night. Darik, again, we are selling out so many of these RotoWire drafts. I think it was, a couple of days ago, we sold out every single time slot. More and more teams diving in with the record $250,000 grand prize. Seeing a lot of great drafts, a lot of great roster builds. We'll go over it all tonight, but it's been a lot of fun watching all these drafts every single day with so many people diving in, trying to win this grand prize, but also seeing all the fun ways that people are putting rosters together this year, right?
Yeah, we've seen some different builds. We've seen guys go 5 wide receivers out of the chute. We've seen guys go 4 running backs. We've seen 0 RB, traditional 0 RB, hero RB. We've seen them all. This is actually RotoWire Draft 127 of the year so far, out of probably somewhere between 375 and 400 is basically what we're shooting for. So we've got close to 2,000 or 1,900 signups right now. Looking for around 4,400 by the time we're all said and done. So that tells you just how busy it's going to get over the next 4 weeks here.
Yep. So again, if you want to join us tonight in the chat, we'll drop some of your comments in, ask us some questions about this draft, about the NFFC in general. We got our live events coming up in Las Vegas and New York, first weekend in both cities, and then the big weekend in Las Vegas the following weekend. Darik and I will be in New York for the first weekend. Greg will be in Vegas, and then Darik and I head out to Vegas to join Greg for the big week out there. So ask us any questions you want. Again, you can ask us about this draft, ask us about NFFC contests, live events in general, anything you want. We'll do our best to post the questions in the chat here and answer any questions you have as the draft goes on. But yeah, like Darik was saying, 127 drafts now we've had in this contest. Going to have a lot of drafts going forward. A lot of great contests in the NFFC. PlayNFFC.com is where you can go to sign up. Again, if you're looking to join us in the live events for the first weekend, we do have a few spots left in the prime time and in our auctions in particular. Those are close to selling out. So if you want to join us in those contests in particular, those spots are very, very close to selling out. And now we got the draft just underway here, starting it up, and we can start taking a look at the draft board and who the players will be going. Again, we are seeing, I said a week ago, Darik, we had Jeff Erickson on. We weren't seeing a lot of changes in the first round, but we're seeing a notable change. We could talk about it if we say, well, there's a big change at the start of the draft. We are seeing a change at the back end of the first round. We'll see it we'll talk about it if we see it in this draft, but there's a shocker there. We haven't seen Cooper Kupp go number 1 overall in a long time with Matthew Stafford elbow issue. How surprised are you by that one?
I don't know. I actually did see him go first a couple nights ago, to be honest with you. Maybe it wasn't a RotoWire though. Maybe it might have been in a DC, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think of the elbow situation right now. We're a month out. The coach made a comment the other night that he slept better just because he saw him throw on Saturday or something. So I'm not really worried about it at this point. I think it's a lot of quote unquote camp speak at this point. So again, if you wanted Kupp, obviously he's not coming back. So
right.
Again, I'm not going to quibble about that.
No, I'm not. I would, if you want, exactly. If you want Kupp, you're picking number 1. You're not getting him anywhere else, so you might as well go get him if that's your guy. I'm not sure I would do it, but again, if Cooper Kupp is your guy, go get him there. Draft your players, draft the guys you want. So, and I think it's been something like 12 or 15 years since a player has repeated as a number 1 running back, something like that. It's been a long time. So I do like Taylor number 1 overall, but the odds are against him repeating as a number 1 running back in back-to-back years. So if you want to play that game, the odds are against him. That's about as high as we've seen Derrick Henry go, going 6th overall, Taylor 2nd, Jefferson, McCaffrey, Chase. Henry at 6. Are you surprised by Derrick Henry going 6th overall?
Yeah, I think I saw him go 7th once before in the RotoWire, so 6th it might be his max. Again, if you want Derrick Henry, probably not coming back at 6th there, but you never know. Actually, he does slip in the second round a lot. Again, if you're a Henry guy, you grab him. I probably would not take him at 6 with some of these guys that definitely are going to go after him. Stephon Diggs at 7. I saw Diggs go at 4 last night, I believe, when I was watching the always crazy 11:55 draft. So again, like you just mentioned, the first round is kind of the same, but it just moves around based on personal preference and kind of how the draft flows and who's in it and what day it is, and I don't know. It's Swift. That's pretty high for Swift. He usually doesn't go 9th anymore. So
yeah. So far, nobody's surprising in the first round. The order is surprising, but nobody jumping into the first round who typically doesn't go in the first round in the first 9 picks. So we'll see if that changes with the last 3 of the first round. Yeah, you're right about the 11:55 Eastern drafts. Those are the ones that can blow the roof off the joint sometimes in terms of who goes where and roster builds and things like that. The 10 Eastern ones tend to conform a little bit more to standard operating procedure, if you will. There goes Devontae Adams at 10 overall. Austin Eckler ADP had moved up into the top 5 in the RotoWire.
and I think the top 15 or 16 are set. And again,
so Eckler had been falling a little bit, but now he had been moving back up. But here he goes 8th overall. And there's the guy I wanted to talk about, and that's Saquon Barkley, who has moved up into the first round in the RotoWire so far this month. And Najee Harris is falling because of the concerns that his workload is going to be eased back a little bit. That's the reports coming out of Pittsburgh camp. And that's why Najee Harris is falling. I would not worry about that. Even if Harris's workload is cut back, he's so good. That, to me, Derek, I mean, we can talk. I know you like Barkley a lot, so you can talk about Barkley, but to me, Najee Harris at the end of round 1 is an absolute gift. And Delvin Cook to come back with that, what a great start for Team 12.
Yeah, I mean, until a Tomlin back shows that he's not actually going to be used as a workhorse, it's kind of hard to believe those reports. Again, I like Barkley better than Najee. I just think he's a much better player. And just with the upgrade with Dayball and the offensive line and him actually 2 years off the ACL, I have no doubt in my mind Barkley's a top 8 pick by the time I get to main events. None in my mind. He will be going 8, 6, 7, 5. Some people might jump him at 2 or 3. No question in my mind he's moving up and he's not stopping. He's a freight train.
Yeah, I kind of think that when we get to our big money draft, not so much the prime times, I think he'll move up there, but I'm talking about like our diamonds, the $10,000 entry diamonds, the platinum $20,000 entry. I do think Barkley is going to be a guy that people are really going to go after. Whoever really likes him is going to go get him in round 1. I do think that he's going to be this year's. Remember, was it, I don't know, what, 4 years ago, Christian McCaffrey, when he went super high in the round 1 and it paid off? I think Barkley's going to be this year's McCaffrey.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know if I froze out on my last comment there, but I said he'll be a top 8 pick in prime times and the higher leagues, the diamonds and the platinums. He's a freight train. He's not stopping. The clips coming out, he looks amazing. That's not going to stop. I don't know how much he can play in the preseason. He's a top 8 pick when it's all said and done.
And there's Alvin Kamara going 17th overall. I think the days of Kamara falling to the back end of the second round, I think it's going to happen occasionally, but I think primarily those days are over. So I know I got him at the end of round 2 in Raz Bowl this week, but again, in our big money leagues, I think those days are over.
I think people are assuming there's no suspension coming this year, and if that's the case, he probably should be up closer to the turn.
Which is what people should. I said this from day one. He wasn't going to be suspended, or it was going to be a mild suspension. So I hate to say I told you so, people, but I'm going to say it all freaking year long. Trust me. I'm just going to say it all year long because you should have expected this. And there's Aaron. I love the Aaron Jones pick as well. Again, the first 2 rounds I think are just stacked this year.
Loaded, man.
It's hard not to come away with 2 great picks in the first 2 rounds this year.
The one guy that's gone so far that I would not have picked yet is Deebo Samuel. I'm just a little bit too worried there. I love him as a player. I've said it for years. If I have a real football team, I want Deebo Samuel on my team. I'm not paying the second round price for Deebo this year when I got, you could get him in the 6th and 7th last year. He's a fantastic player, just too rich for my blood with some of the guys going around him.
All I would say to that is look at those wide receiver numbers he put up before they started making him a running back last year.
Different quarterback, different situation. Couple long ones that he broke, and I know that's part of it. Chase did the same thing, but I don't like him at that price. I love him as a football player. Slips into the third round, I'll definitely think about it, but I'm not paying the second round price on him.
No. The one guy that I'm worried about there is Javonte Williams.
Sure.
I think it's going to be a much closer split than people want it to be because Melvin Gordon is still a very good football player, very good running back. I love Javonte Williams, great player, but Melvin Gordon's still really good too.
Yeah, I mean, something happens to Gordon. Javonte's got a top 5 upside, but
without question,
it's hard to justify thinking that something's going to happen to Gordon and using a second round pick. Again, Javonte, I mean, he's actually gone down from the start of the year. He was a top 7-8 pick to start the year. So, I mean, where you're getting him now, I mean, I guess you could say it's a value from the beginning of the year, but I'm not taking him probably right there. I'm not. There's guys I like after him.
And I don't think you need, again, if you believe in McCaffrey being McCaffrey, you don't need to take Javonte Williams there because you're drafting McCaffrey to be the stud. So I don't think you need Javonte Williams there.
Yeah, just a build I wouldn't do if I have McCaffrey, and if I have McCaffrey, I'm obviously in that spot, obviously, top 4, top 5. I obviously believe I'm going to get vintage McCaffrey, or at least I'm hoping so. So again, yeah, there's probably a different way I would go there than taking a back that might be set at a 60-40 or 55-45 time split.
Right. So we'll see what Team 1 does, but so far we got 2 teams that have started off with 2 wide receiver builds. Obviously, Team 3 did it with Justin Jefferson and Michael Pittman, and Team 5 with Jamar Chase and Mike Evans. And we will see if Team 1 grabs a wide receiver here or he goes a different direction.
Yeah, so my top 8 wide receivers still here. I don't know. I haven't looked at the board and see who's actually left.
And he goes with a wide receiver, Tyreek Hill. So we got 3 teams with 2 wide receiver builds. And of course, this has third round reversal. So he's not going to be picking again till pick 36. So we go back to Team 12 here with that great Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook start, which I absolutely loved.
Yeah. Now, I mean, this is probably a place where you want. There's a wide receiver slam here, and I love Travis Etienne as much as the next guy, but with that, I'm slamming a certain wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't think you need to go running backs here, and there's really not a running back on the board that jumps out at me at this point. I mean, there is a running back on the board that jumps out at me, but because I've got 2 RB1, and I don't have a problem with that. Mark Andrews, I get it. I understand that, but I don't know if I would have gone there.
I think drafting Andrews right there, you're drafting him pretty much at his ceiling. I mean, I think last year, I'm not sure we're ever going to see another year like that for Andrews, and I love the player. Small passing tree at this point from what we know, but I just feel like you're drafting him at his ceiling right there. A little bit later, not much of a problem, but again, there's a wide receiver that I just two wide receivers that I actually still love that haven't gone, that I have both as top 9 wide receivers.
And there's our first 3. Well, it's going to be our only. Well, I shouldn't say that. It could be one more. Our first 3 straight running back builds, which we are seeing more and more often in the RotoWire. Again, I talked about this with Jeff and Greg last week as well. That's something we're seeing more of this year, and I think it's a direct reaction to the fact there's so much wide receiver depth this year. This guy goes Barkley, Mixon, Travis Etienne here. Team 11. One other team obviously could potentially do it. We'll see if Team 8 does. Yeah, I think the problem I have with Mark Andrews is that's exactly the Darren Waller pick of a year ago. And I'm not saying because Waller failed, Mark Andrews is going to fail, but it's enough to throw the fear of God into me. As someone who did that a year ago, I don't know if I could do it again.
Yeah. So the 3 running back starts, though, for Team 11, obviously he's a very accomplished NFFC player. To your comment, I don't know if it's so much as the wide receivers are deep. Yes, I think that's obviously plays a little bit of a role into it. But I think at this point, guys have drafted enough that they're just letting values follow them that they like. I mean, I know that Team 11 would have taken ETN in the second round if he was in a different spot. I've watched him draft 20 drafts already. So again, at this point, I think he's just letting the guys he RB. I've seen him go 2 running backs to start, 3 running backs to start. So it's not he doesn't have a preference. He lets the draft fall to him. And I think a lot of good players are doing that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I went 3 running backs in a row in Rasbowl, and it wasn't a plan. But again, after I had the number 1 pick, I had Jonathan Taylor, and Alvin Kamara and Aaron Jones fell to me at the 2-3 turn. So I'm not passing on that. There were very good wide receivers still available, but I'm not passing on Aaron Jones and Alvin Kamara. I'm just not doing it. So,
right. So, and now that
it's all about taking
my
the
2
best
wide
players
receivers
on the board.
Yeah, my 2 wide receivers have where Mark Andrews went. I would have taken T. Higgins. I have them all. I have both of them at 8 and 9. Whatever order I would have taken Higgins there. I just get the possible Higgins, so that's a little bit better cap. So that's what I would have done. But again, nothing crazy.
Yeah, I would have. I would throw Keenan Allen in there too. I'd take him over Mark Andrews as well.
I'm down on Allen this year.
Team 5 with 3 wide receivers. Keenan Allen's just so good. Year in, year out, money in the bank.
Yeah,
so good.
There seemed to be a fade the second half last year. I like Mike Williams over Keenan Allen this year, and it's really not even that close for me. I doubt I have any Keenan Allen shares. He's going way too early. There's other guys I like way more than Keenan Allen this year. So I will probably my first year with no Keenan Allen shares. I'm fine with it.
Okay. And team 5, 3 wide receivers in a row there. The only team that'll do it. And 3 very, very good ones. Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, Cortland Sutton. I like those 3. Too early to call it a 0 running back approach, but we can probably call it modified.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm tired of all the names. Let's just let guys draft.
I am too.
Let's just draft.
And I can't get up.
Oh, we got a help call.
That's not even me, but oh well. Okay. So that's what we get
all
to
right,
hear.
Brian's got to handle that.
Yep, he's got it.
Okay. We'll see if team 1 goes with a wide receiver. He's the other team that could potentially do it. But so far, I wouldn't say there's any crazy picks so far through the first 3 rounds. Pretty much everybody's going off the board. A little earlier for Breece Hall than normal. He normally has been going in the 4th round on average anyway, so a little earlier. Maybe that was a mistaken pick. Maybe that's why we got the help call there.
The help call wasn't this draft. It was a completely different draft.
Oh, well, we got a frozen pick here, so.
No. It did look like actually there's 2 of them because there was one in another draft. So I had a different draft open.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I don't.
We do have a pause here, ladies and gentlemen. So maybe the Breece Hall pick was a mistake. As I said, that's a little earlier for Breece Hall than he has been going. Typically, he's been going around between pick 40 and 45 in the 4th round, so it's possible that that pick was a mistake. We'll find out if we get a correction there.
It's not a mistake.
But like I said, I was just going to say we're not seeing too many crazy picks so far. Pretty much everybody's off the board. Players through the first almost 3 rounds who are typically off the board in these 3 rounds.
You're going to see Breece Hall be going earlier than that come live events, prime times. There's no way he's going to be an end of the 3rd round pick. Not going to happen. I'm perfectly fine with where he went there, teaming him with Jefferson and Pittman. It's a great pick.
I will say, Mike, I'm not trying to hype up Michael Carter. I'm not saying he's anything beyond who he is, but the reports coming out of Jets scrimmage this past weekend were very, very glowing about Michael Carter.
Same thing they said when Chester Taylor was there and Adrian Peterson came on board. Same thing.
Breece Hall is not Adrian Peterson.
I didn't say he was, but you can hear that same type of stuff. Chester Taylor's still our starter. Adrian Peterson going to fill in as needed. And after game 1, Adrian Peterson was a starter and never looked back. Michael Carter's a guy. Michael Carter's just a guy. There's nothing great about him. Breece Hall has a chance to be.
I'm not making that argument. I'm not hyping him up to be anything more than he is. I'm just saying he's going to have a role, and it's going to be annoying to everybody who took Breece Hall. That's all I'm trying to say.
How do we know his role is anything more than an Alexander Madison at this point? How do we know that?
Because I think it's going to be more than Matt. I think he showed more last year.
He showed more with nobody else there. He didn't have a Breece Hall there. That's completely different. I mean, you look at the games Madison, the couple games Madison took off, he looked like a world beater, but he's nowhere near the back Dalvin Cook is.
Agreed. I agree with that. And there's our first quarterback off the board, Josh Allen, of course. QB1, end of round 3. Team 1 still without a running back so far. See if he changes that here to begin round 4.
We'll see where the quarterbacks go tonight. These OCs have been nuts lately. Quarterbacks have just been getting pushed so far down.
Yep. And Team 4 still without a running back. Not calling it anything because Derek's upset with that.
People are just waiting on QBs.
And Team 2 pretty much doing exactly what I would do. Maybe not necessarily the picks. I like the picks. I like Kelsey, Moore, and Williams. But after you take the stud running back in round 1, there is no reason to take a running back unless there's a guy you just absolutely like. So he takes a stud tight end, and he takes 2 really good wide receivers, DJ Moore, Mike Williams. Because you've got the stud running back in the bank. You don't need to chase running backs now unless somebody falls to you that you really like. So I like the build there.
Yeah, that's fine because there's no running backs that should be taken right now, to be honest with you. So
yeah, there's no right. Agreed. Well, no, I take that back. There is one who absolutely should be off the board by now, and whoever gets him is going to be getting a massive value pick. But I'm not saying Team 2 again. Team 2 doesn't need a running back, so I don't have a problem with him passing on the guy. But there is a running back who's on the board here that somebody's going to get for a dirt cheap price.
Yeah, he's not really. This is where he goes. I mean, this is where he's going.
I know, and nobody's learning their lesson. And I'm going to be here all year on Twitter, banging people over the head, telling them you let this guy fall about 30 picks too late this year. Team 5,
30 picks too late.
Yep, he's going 30 picks later than he was going a year ago. 24. He's going 2 rounds later.
Did he give you value for where you drafted him last year?
No, I'm just stating a fact. I'm not saying the value. I'm just saying he's going 24 to plus picks later than he was going a year ago at this time.
Got a lot of mileage on those quote unquote young legs at this point. It's taking a lot of hits.
Team 5 with whatever, and there he goes. There's Cam Akers off.
Oh, that's not even who I thought you were talking about. That's who I thought.
You think I was talking about Zeke?
Yeah.
Oh God, no! You can have Zeke.
I don't want Zeke. That's my point.
I have no interest in Zeke. It's Cam Akers who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm not an Akers guy. I don't
love Akers.
I don't see the superstar in him. I don't see the explosiveness. I never saw it. I never understood why he was going where he was going last year. I get it. He had the nice playoff run the year prior in a couple games that they were in. Looked good down the end of the stretch. But Darrell Henderson's there. It's real. It's not going away. I know I just said that about Michael Carter, but Darrell Henderson is a way better player than Michael Carter is. That's not even
Darrell Henderson is just Darrell Henderson's just a guy.
Darrell Henderson is twice the player Michael Carter is.
Sean McVay is pretty much on record and I know what he said a week or so ago, but go back to when the season was playing, and Sean McVay is pretty much on record saying Darrell Henderson is just a guy.
Well, Cam Akers may be just a guy too, because we haven't seen a whole lot from him yet either.
And Team 5 with whatever you want to call it, whatever label you want to put on it, 4 wide receivers to start and 4 damn good wide receivers to start. Now, of course, what he's done here is those 4 guys got to start for him every week, right? I mean, that's his 3 receivers and his flex right there.
Well, yeah, that's what you're essentially assuming, but again, you never know.
Right.
I mean, you're building depth. He's going to build depth. He's going to take more wide receivers. He's going to get a bunch of backs, I assume, and mix a tight end in there. But yes, you're right. In a perfect world, those guys are starting for him every week. But we don't live in a perfect world, that's for sure.
I have no idea what Josh Dombrowski thinks you're telling me, but I thought I'd post his comment there in the chat there.
It was from a couple of minutes ago. I think I was talking about. I was talking about Michael Carter. That's when he posted it.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right, Josh. There you go. You had your moment there, Josh. I gave Josh a shout out the other night, so now he's Michael Carter. Okay.
There you go. See, Michael Carter, Jag. I've got one in agreement with out there. One of one. No one else has said that he's better than that. I don't know. We'll see. So Rashad Bateman into the 4th round. He is climbing.
Wow. And Deontay, that's about as far I've seen Deontay fall in a while. 46.
Yeah. Tough to know what to do with who's Aker? Is that a golfer?
He meant Akers. Smart man, Josh. I give you that one. Yeah, I haven't seen Deontay fall to 40. Again, nobody on the planet loves Deontay Johnson more than I do, but I hate that quarterback situation. I do not think if it's an upgrade over Ben, who obviously was horrific, it's not much of one. So it's certainly not the upgrade I wanted them to have.
It's probably not an upgrade for Deontay Johnson or Pat Freiermuth. It may be an upgrade for Claypool.
Yeah, I mean, Trubisky's just not good. And when they go to Pickett, that's not going to be great. I mean,
well, we don't know. I mean, we haven't seen him play.
Well,
you never know.
Yeah, but I mean, at some point they will go to Pickett because Trubisky's just not very good, and they're going to want to see the rookie play. So
if they're not winning, you're right. If they're not winning games, you're right.
I mean, I'm fine with Deontay in best ball because he's a stud and he's going to have his games, and I've got shares of Deontay in best ball. But in season long, I don't know. I have 0 shares of him in season long so far, and that's probably going to be how it's going to play out.
Yeah, he's just tough.
Yeah, it's just this may be the first time I won't have any shares of him in season long, and it breaks my heart because I love the guy. I mean, he's so damn good. And he's so, again, in the late 4th round for Deontay Johnson, you should be jumping up and down to get him there. I mean, that's crazy value. And he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but he's just stuck.
Yeah. I mean, he separates as well as pretty much anybody in the league.
He does everything you want a wide receiver to do. He runs great routes. He has really good speed. I mean, we just didn't get to see it because Ben's arm was dead. I mean, he does everything. Yeah, he separates. He's a terrific route runner. He improved his drops, although they were a bit of a problem the last month. But for the most of the season, didn't drop passes. Does everything. And there's DK Metcalf falling. And what are your thoughts on Metcalf at this point? I mean, picking right there at 5'2", I mean, obviously they're a mess, right, with Geno or Locke or whoever wins the job. But, I mean, at pick 5'2", are you just doing it because he's DK Metcalf, or are you just bailing completely?
Based on team build, I certainly would do it. I have no problem with Team 11 doing it right there with his build for sure. Again, Metcalf's he's a stud. He's going to find a way. Like I said, I hope it's Drew Lock. If you're Metcalf, I believe if you're a Metcalf owner, you want it to be Drew Lock because again, Drew Lock is just one of those gunslingers. He doesn't care. He'll throw that ball up, and again, you're throwing that ball to Metcalf. He's going to go up and win some contested catches. So yeah, I got no problem with him there. I would have no problem where he would have took Bateman if he would have taken Metcalf with the 3 running back build. I'll tell you what, I like what Team 9 is doing there. Starting off with Swift, going CeeDee Lamb and getting T. Higgins, which I thought was in a great spot, and then let Kyle Pitts falling to 4-9. I'm sorry, guys, that's horrible. Stop letting Kyle Pitts fall to 4-9. That is absolutely brutal. That's by far my favorite pick of the draft so far. It's not close. He's going to be a stud. He's going to be an animal. He's going to lead that team in targets. He's going to lead that team in touchdowns. He's going to be unstoppable. Second half of the year, he will be probably. I mean, he's going to be. I think he's going to be tight end 1 this year. Honestly, I do. I don't even think Kelsey stands in his way. I just think Kyle Pitts is that much better than everyone else right now. The skill, the athleticism. He plays wide receiver, folks. He doesn't play tight end. He blocked on exactly 3% of his pass routes last year when they threw the ball. He blocked 3%. That's unheard of for a tight end. He's a wide receiver. Don't let him fall to 4-9, please.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. I mean, if I'm Team 9, I'm taking Jones or Kamara in the 2nd over Lamb. And if he does that, I love the build more. But I mean, I don't have a problem with Lamb. I like him a lot. I just preference. I take the running back there, but I do love Higgins, Pitts, and I like the Juju pick as well. Team 5 with his first running back pick is AJ Dillon after going 4 wides.
It's not a bad way to start out that way.
So with J.K. Dobbins now 57 overall, off the PUP list. No Gus Edwards, almost certainly week 1, which isn't a surprise, but now we pretty much have it official. I mean, what are your thoughts on Dobbins? Are you in on him at all? Or I mean, I to this point I've really got no. I love the guy. I just obviously have major issues with the injury situation.
So I was in early. Third. He was going, third round, early fourth round. I was certainly in there. And then we got the news that he might not be ready, and so I was off for a while. Now I think where you just saw him go tonight, if we hear nothing else negative, he's going to start moving back up and will eventually land in the fourth round.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so talented. There's no question about that. I love the Elijah Mitchell value. Again, to me, the question with Elijah Mitchell is durability. It's not going to be role. He's their best running back. It's just all about, can he stay healthy? That's the question.
A little early for me on Mitchell, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't believe he can, but I think that's baked into the ADP. I think the fact that he's going to miss time is baked into the 5th round ADP. So, and I love what Team 2 is doing here. I mean, not forcing the running back pick, and he's got Kelsey and then 3 really good wide receivers.
So I'm interested.
All right, what are your thoughts on I have no interest in Antonio Gibson at all.
Well, I have zero interest as my RB1.
Yeah, I'm out. I mean, I have never been in, so it doesn't change for me, but I'm just out.
That's a tough pick. I mean, you've got to think something other people don't, because first of all, you wouldn't have had to draft him there. Very good chance he came back to you in round 7 that we're seeing at this point. Gibson is just falling, him and a certain other running back, I'm not going to say his name, but are just falling way down the charts.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And there goes George Kittle. So the upper echelon of tight ends, I think, are pretty much off the board at this point. So now we'll see a big gap until we get to the next tier. And again,
we'll
Team 2 just to. That's right.
We'll get a 5th, right. And then we'll see the drop. I'm interested to see this. I'm interested to see where a certain wide receiver who's been also moving up the chart goes tonight. I've seen him go as early as the 5th round last night at 11:55. Someone that hasn't played for a while. I'm interested to see where he lands.
Yeah. And again, Team 2 just ignoring running backs and quarterback, to be honest, too, with Hunter Renfrow. So I like that. I like the Hunter Renfrow pick.
Right, and he'll probably lay off QBs for a while now, because he doesn't really have a stackable QB to go with any of his receivers at this point. I mean, you're not really looking to stack Baker Mayfield at this point, so or Zach Wilson.
Or Zach Wilson, no.
I mean, you got Renfrow. I get it. You can take Card down a little bit, which might not be too shabby, but he's really probably will wait, just because there's with all the stacking we see, and I think we've seen it more this year in the online championships than we've ever seen with quarterbacks and tight ends or wide receivers. It's been crazy, and maybe part of that is just that everyone's letting the QBs fall so far that they're just able to stack with their guys. I don't know,
and I think we're seeing it for a couple of reasons. I do think it's the DFS influence on our game,
sure,
but I also think we're seeing it because the success that people have had in our contests, right? 2 years ago, we saw, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. They played a big part in the last week in helping people win a lot of money in championships. Last year, in this contest, Billy Wasowski wins the RotoWire because of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow in large part in what they did. And so I think people are looking at that and going, hey, I'd like to stack those high explosive offenses. And so I think people are looking at it and saying it's not just a DFS thing. It's not just a DFS concept anymore. Correct. I mean, I remember the Peyton Manning year, whenever that was, his year where he threw 50-some TDs, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy who was leading the Classic for the regular season pretty much had stacked the Broncos. He had Peyton, Demarius, Manny Sanders. He had stacked the Broncos. Now he didn't win the overall, but throughout the regular season, he was crushing it.
Yeah.
So
even more recently than that, the guy that was leading the OC, whatever year it was that the Falcons were just not, untouchable. He had Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, both running backs from Atlanta, and he was leading the OC for, the entire year. He didn't end up winning, but
yeah, no, I think we're seeing more and more of that. And there goes the wide receiver you're talking about.
Yes, Michael
Thomas,
correct.
66th overall.
Definitely back into play for most people, and he like I said, he went in the 5th round last night to a very prominent player. So he's definitely not going to go the other way at this point unless we get some negative news out of there. How about Kadarius Toney now up into the 6th round pretty much every night?
I'm gonna listen to our Sirius show tomorrow night. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm gonna talk about the Giants a little bit. I'm gonna pick Greg's brain about him. I've got some thoughts about the Giants.
Yeah. The clips people are seeing where he's winning battles outside. I get it. It's training camp, but that's getting a lot of people excited because, a lot of his stuff was kind of out of the slot last year. Didn't play a lot, but, when he did play, he was targeted, as a top 5 receiver in games that he did play. Very good with the ball in his hands. The whole Dayball influence, people are buying into it.
Well, they've got interesting pieces.
They do.
And they're not just static pieces. And what I mean by that is they're not just guys you line up and leave them there. They're movable pieces. Right? Kadarius Toney, you can move him anywhere. Wan'Dale Robinson, you can move him anywhere. Barkley's a guy you can do things with. Yep. They're chess pieces, basically. So I think, and with Brian Daboll, who's a creative guy, the concern I have is Daniel Jones. I'm just not a big Daniel Jones guy. Can Daniel Jones run this offense and get the most out of what these pieces potentially can do?
Yeah.
But it's intriguing. I'm kind of paying attention to him now for the first time.
And let's not forget that we assume he has a healthy Kenny Golladay, who I don't think has forgotten how to play football. He's 27 or 28 years old. They should be able to resurrect him. That's a pretty good darn receiver set. I know Shepard is, I think, still on the mend, but even Slayton as a 4, I think is still there.
Slayton may not even make the team.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But between Wan'Dale, Golladay and Saquon and Toney, that's like you just mentioned, that's a nice group of receivers.
Yeah, no, I've always liked Golladay. I loved him in Detroit.
Look at David Montgomery just went off the board at 6'12". I don't know that I've seen him fall that far. What are your thoughts on Monty this year?
I'm not as worried. I know the special teams report was weird. And I was like, everybody's like, what's going on there? But they are built to run the ball a lot, right? Look at their wide receiver core. They are basically building their team to run the football a ton. Now, Khalil Herbert is there, and he's getting work with the runs, but they're going to run the ball. And whether Herbert takes reps away from Montgomery or just they keep giving more reps to both of them, they're going to run the football. So David Montgomery's a good running back. I don't think he's going away. I don't think he's suddenly going to go from he's going to suddenly get 10 carries a game and be irrelevant in that offense. So I'm not a huge fan of the guy, but at that spot, yeah, I'd take him if I wanted him. I think he's a solid RB2. He's not great. He's not gonna be a league winner, but I don't think he's gonna be a guy who's gonna kill you.
Yeah, to me, I think he feels more like a number 3, kind of right where that guy took him. So I kind of like that. I don't know that I want him as my number 2. Again, it depends on your team build. If you have 4 smash receivers and like Pitts, there's different ways to build, obviously. But I'd feel more comfortable in most of my normal builds with him as like a running back 3.
We got Greg and I got him as our RB2 in FSGA, but that's a 14-team league where like 25 running backs had come off the board, and he was the last guy. And we were like, well, we got to grab one, because there's just nothing left. So we weren't thrilled about it, but we grabbed him, and he's our 2. But our wide receivers are stacked. We have ridiculous wide receivers. So yeah, with that kind of roster build, with a strong RB1 and great wide receivers, I'm okay with it. But yeah, ideally, is he the RB2 I would want? No. But I'm not over. Again, I just think they're going to run the damn ball because Justin Fields is not dropping back 35 times a game in that offense. There's just no way in hell. Not with that wide receiver core. I mean, they're horrible.
Yeah, I mean, Mooney and who else?
Not happen.
No, we don't think so. So did what I really was kind of away a lot yesterday and today. What happened with Christian Kirk? Is he fine?
He's fine. Yeah, minor injury, nothing to worry about.
Okay. So then he's going right around where he normally goes. He's basically I'd say he probably moves around the least bit of anybody. He's always in the 7th round, it seems like.
And I think it's a good value. We don't know what the Jaguars are going to be. We know how good Lawrence is going to be this year, but I don't think Kirk is a 1. I think he's a 2 on a good team. But yeah, in that spot, for this guy, I mean, honestly, I like him more than Amari Cooper. So I've never been a big Cooper guy, but technically on this guy's roster, he's just 4, but he's probably going to end up being higher than that because I think he's better than Cooper.
Cooper's a tough play until we know what's up with Deshaun. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, but Cooper's played with better quarterbacks. I mean, he's played with Dak. Well, I mean, Watson's pretty good when he's out there, but I mean, it's not like Cooper's played with bums. Dak's not a bum, and Derek Carr, for whatever he is.
What I'm saying is Brissett is a bum. So that's why Cooper's a tough.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But my point is, though, Cooper has played with good quarterbacks, and he's flighty. You can never trust the guy.
No, right.
So now, you put him out there with a bad quarterback, and how ugly is it going to get?
Yeah, I mean, Cooper's the quintessential 30-point game, and then 3 catches for 30 the next, and maybe the next, and maybe the next, and then another 30-point game. So yeah,
he's a rich man, Sammy Watkins. Yep.
Okay. So coming down, we got 4 QBs. Again, looks like they're being pushed down. We're probably going to see a run here in the 8th round for sure by the 9th. This is where we'll see the next 6 to 8 come off. Actually, probably 6 to 7. Usually you get to 11, and then it even goes another couple rounds before the 12, 13, 14, 15 come off. It's pretty standard at this point.
But yeah, I mean, that's a good point, and it speaks to how much lower and how later quarterbacks are going in this specifically, and I think we'll see it in the prime time as well once we get to those in a few weeks. And
I think it'll correct a little bit. I think they'll move back up in the prime time. People are going to grab their guy a little bit quicker. A lot of these guys in this draft tonight have drafted 25 or 30 or more of these so far. So they've had their builds. They've seen this. They know that they can wait, or they've just.
It's going to be interesting. Certainly going to be interesting to see if quarterbacks go earlier.
Quarterbacks in other spots.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if quarterbacks go earlier in prime time. We'll keep an eye on that when those drafts start up. But certainly in the RotoWire, they're going later and later than ever in the history of this contest. And we're into round 7, and would you say 4 are off the board right now?
Yep, just 4 so far.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. Josh Allen, QB1 goes in the 3rd, and then we wait 2 rounds before the next one. That's Justin Herbert in the 5th. And then, of course, Mahomes and Jackson go in round 6. Yeah, we just never had a year like this. And again, for those of you who may be tuning in for the first time, we have 6 points per touchdown pass in the NFFC, and still the quarterbacks are not getting bumped up any higher.
Nope.
This will gauge falling ever since Julio signed.
About time to start buying that dip again.
Telling you, people, he's not going away. I mean, you're getting now. Russell Gage is getting back to being a value pick again.
Yeah.
So
it's like we're still not going to see Godwin week 1. We're just not going to. There's no way he's going to be out there taking hits week 1. I don't know when we're going to see him. Maybe it's week 4. Maybe it's week 5. Maybe it's even still later. The way I look at it is Godwin comes back as soon as Julio Jones gets hurt, and Gage probably doesn't go anywhere.
And Julio's not Julio anymore.
No, but Brady will pick him up a little bit.
He will, but I mean, did people not watch Julio last season? He's not Julio anymore. It's not the same guy. Russell Gage is. I mean, congratulations. You had the early season value with Russell Gage, and then people figured out that, oh, he's pretty damn good, and then he wasn't a value anymore. Now he's a value pick again.
Yeah. Said time to
Brady's going to love that guy.
Yeah, he's going to pepper him.
Yep. Because Gage can play anywhere. He can play any position on the field. He's a lot like Godwin in the fact he can play the slot, he can play outside, so he can run any route, play any position, wherever they need him. And again, I mean, I know the injury isn't serious. But Mike Evans already dealing with a bit of a hammy, which is his annual hammy, as the Buccaneers beat writers called it. So Evans already out there gimpied up a little bit. And I love Evans. I mean, I'm all in on Evans this year. But he's already dealing with something. So you got Julio no longer Julio, Godwin, their babying back, and Evans dealing with his annual hammy thing. Gage is the only guy out there who's still himself in that offense. And people are letting him fall 2 rounds later than they were 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
All right.
So
congratulations, team 1.
Still, I'm looking real brief. I still don't see a quarterback receiver stack yet. Do we have one? Jackson.
Let's see here.
We got Keenan Allen and Herbert. Okay, so on team 10 has one, but I don't think there's another one in there quite yet.
No, I don't think
not
so.
That you have to have. I just now it's interesting for me to look because it seems like it's status quo.
Yeah. No, I don't think so yet. Of course, there's only 4 QBs off the board, so
well, now
Brady.
Now there's 7.
Oh yeah, 3 in this one. And here you go. Like you said, round 8. Now we're seeing QBs come off the board now.
Oh.
So this was the round. If you were waiting on a QB, this is when the next tier kind of starts. And here we go, 4 of them.
And
And there's our pairing, Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown.
Correct. And team 9 has a chance to stack Lamb. I don't know that he will, being that I've watched him draft a lot.
Well, he could do it with Pollard too. That's a legit stack, and he didn't do it. Maybe he thinks he can do it on the way back, but I don't think. I wouldn't play that game. I think 11 or
he didn't do it there.
I think 11 or 12 is going to grab a QB.
I'm just saying maybe he doesn't want to stack Dak.
He might not want to, yeah.
Right.
But that was the opportunity there for him if he wanted to. Oh, Sky Moore. I like Sky Moore a lot. I'm in. I think he's the receiver to have after the big 2 there, Kelsey and Juju. That's the one I want. I have no interest in Valdez-Scantling, McCole Hardman. It's Sky Moore. That's the one I want.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Normally we go about an hour and 5 minutes. I actually have to bolt in about 5 minutes tonight, so we're gonna probably maybe we can get through round 9 here for sure, at least through round 8 and halfway into round 9.
All right.
Is there any? I guess we're 8 rounds. So is there anybody taken so far that you think should? And we just talked about Gage, so don't say Gage. Is there anybody else you think that's really just falling like maybe 2 rounds too far at this point, or is there anybody taken that shouldn't have been taken maybe yet? Do you think?
Well, I mean, as far as taken or shouldn't, I mean, there are guys that are being taken that I wouldn't take, but that's a different argument. I don't think I don't see any crazy picks. I mean, they're obviously, we can disagree on picks, but that's just, that's personal preference. I think we're into the point of the draft where it is personal preference right now. In roster builds, because we're seeing the quarterbacks coming off the board here. We got, if I'm doing math correct, we're getting 5 QBs off the board right now in this round with Russell Wilson going to team 11. So I think most people right now are doing the roster builds with their QBs. So they're settling into the team they want, the foundation pieces that they want right now. So I wouldn't say there's anybody going who shouldn't have gone to this point. No, I don't see anybody. I don't see any picks that I think are outrageous.
Right.
I don't.
And I usually see one a draft, and I actually don't see, just like you said, I don't see any tonight. That just seems a little egregious, and you're pushing the guy. I get it, you like the guy, but you don't have to push him that far.
Yeah.
But I don't see any tonight.
No.
Nor do I feel like there's anybody left on the board that should have went a long time ago. So I think these guys are doing a pretty good job so far.
Well, I do with the Walker pick there. I do see there is a running back, obviously, that I think should be gone now. And their team 9 played it, Derek.
Got it.
He got it. If that was his plan, it worked for him. So he's got an actual stack with 3 Cowboys. So if that was his plan, it worked out for him.
And I think he was okay because he also had Brandon Ayuk sitting there, and I know I've seen him pair Ayuk with his QB as well. So I think he felt like he wanted Miles Sanders there as an RB3, and then he still had at that point Wilson, Stafford, Prescott, and the San Francisco QB all on the board. So I think he just played it that way.
All right. Guys, we will wrap this up right now. Derek's got to run, and we've got about 9 rounds in the book, so we got a lot of picks on the board for you. So hopefully you enjoyed the draft here, the early, almost first half of this draft tonight. We got a lot of picks in the books. So again, this one has a $250,000 grand prize. We'll be doing a lot more of these drafts throughout the weeks ahead until we get to the start of the season. Again, if you want to get into a draft, this kind of draft, any draft with us, live events in New York, in Las Vegas, or an online draft, all you got to do is go to playnffc.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do that. We got interviews, live drafts, all kinds of great content there as well. Derek, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, real quick before I sign off. Yeah, we're pretty much into crazy mode now, which means pretty much any contest we offer has a draft pretty much every night, or at least every other night. So any type of guillotine, any type of RotoWire Online Championship, or any type of qualifiers, they're at least every other night by now. What else was I going to say? Cut lines every night. Cut lines are basically on the odd hours 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. RotoWires are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11:55, and then weekends we'll have 10 a.m. ones. So it's nonstop around the clock now at this point. So come to the website, playnffc.com. Find what you need. Satellites every day. Everything we offer is pretty much out there right now. So we're busy. Come be busy with us.
Absolutely. Going to be a lot of fun for the next several weeks. Live events again start up in early September in New York and Las Vegas. Derek and I will be in New York for the first weekend, Greg out in Vegas, and then Derek and I head out to Vegas to join Greg for the final big week of events out there. Again, thanks, Derek, for joining me tonight. Thank you all for joining us here on the channel. We'll have a good rest of the week. We'll be doing more of these as well. Greg and I on the Sirius show tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.